very much. Thank you very much. Well, I love today. It's Ask Dr. Phil Day. Okay? First time I ever did this was on Oprah. That was like 16 years ago, if you can believe that. From East Coast to the West Coast, we're going to be talking to Twitter, to Facebook, emails, letters. I'm answering questions from everyone, everywhere. Take a look.
Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil. My 3 kids argue with each other all the time. How can I get them to get along?
How can I keep the relationship fresh and exciting?
How can I get my 3-year-old son to stop having tantrums?
Dr. Phil, I need to know, is it best to seek premarital counseling before getting married?
How do I stop being the bank of mommy to my 23-year-old?
I'm wondering, where can I find a good man?
Well, I told him no question is too off the wall for me, and here is a perfect example. Now, Nina wrote us a tweet. She asked, my mom won't stop singing at the top of her lungs all day, every day. Is there a reasonable way to ask my mother to please stop? We thought it can't be that bad, so we asked Nina to send us some video. Here it is. This could make your ears bleed. Take a look.
My dog loves me. We're as happy as we can be. My dog, Sarah Lee.
Well, Nina and her mom, Elise, are joining us on Polycom. So, hello, guys.
Hello.
Okay, now, first off, do you sing like every day? She says you sing every day, all day. Is that true? Does this, if I were to knock on your door and open the door, would I likely hear you singing when I got out of my car?
No, you would not.
Yeah. All right. So have you asked her to stop?
At first, I try to be nice and let her sing and have her fun, but as time goes on, I just end up losing my patience and I do ask her to stop, or I ask her to wait till 10 a.m. or later.
Oh, Elise, you like to sing, and it's your house, correct?
That's correct, Dr. Phil.
Okay, and Nina, you live with your mother.
Yes.
And you're how old?
26, Dr. Phil.
26.
Dr. Phil, you heard the singing. Let's not stray. You
No.
heard it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I heard the singing. I also heard you say that you are an adult living in your mother's house, which means you're her guest, and if you don't like the musical program, move. I mean, seriously, you might want to take a singing lesson. I don't say this for Nina. I say it because I don't want the ASPCA all over me about the dog. Seriously, it's your house. If you want to sing, sing, sing. All right. We thought our next question was an interesting one as well. Roberta's sister Pam passed away suddenly 2 months ago. But before she died, her sister had a dying wish that has left Roberta very torn. Take a look.
My sister Pam was my best friend. We were part of each other. My sister made me promise that if she ever passed away before me, I would marry her husband and take care of him. Pam brought that up to me probably 100 times in 3 years. When she would bring it up to me, I would just, whatever, Pam, because I'm going to die first. Pam passed away July 27th of this year. She had a massive heart attack in her sleep. I used to look at Lanny and Pam's relationship, and I would think to myself, she's so lucky. I want to find someone like that. 2 weeks ago, Lanny came to visit me to see if maybe there was a spark there. And I have to be honest, we kissed a couple times, and there was a spark. I trust Dr. Phil with everything in my being. I watch his show more than Robin does because I see the reruns. I need somebody to tell me that it's okay. I married a lot of men, but I've never married my brother-in-law. Dr. Phil, is it moral to marry my late sister's husband? It was her wish.
I'm very sorry for your loss, by the way. She died unexpectedly in her sleep. But she said to you, you said 100 times, something happens to me, I want you to marry my husband and take care of him. What you found out is that she had also said that to him. If anything happens to me, I want you to marry my sister.
That's right.
And you guys be together. When she said that, what did you say? Did you say okay?
I did. I said okay because he was like my brother, but I didn't think of it in the way now that it is.
Well, let's not think of him as your brother because that's kind of creepy.
That's why I'm here.
Okay. Well, so your question is it moral to marry your deceased sister's husband?
Yes.
And you think what would be immoral about that?
I've never heard of it done. And I've married a lot of men, but I've never married my brother-in-law.
When you say, what would you call a lot? You say you've married a lot of men.
I've been married 3 times.
You've been married 3 times.
Yes.
I thought it was 4.
Well, I don't count the 4th because it wasn't for very long.
You what?
It wasn't for very long, Dr. Phil.
Oh, so you've been married like 3.5 times.
Yep, that's right.
Okay. So now you're faced with this dilemma. You made a promise to her and said you would. He made a promise to her, said he would. Now the two of you are saying, well, should we keep our promise or is it immoral, right?
That's me, yes.
Okay, that's your question. Well, when we come back, we're going to hear from Lanny, get his thoughts on marrying his sister-in-law. Is it with sister-in-law or ex-sister-in-law? We'll work that out. Anyway, you get it. We'll be right back. Well, it's Ask Dr. Phil Day, and I'm answering all kinds of what I think are interesting questions. Now, Roberta's sister, Pam, tragically passed away unexpectedly and just recently. But before she died, she asked Roberta to take care of her husband, Lanny, who had throat cancer. And she also had another dying wish for her sister, which was to marry her husband. Marry him and take care of him. Now, both Lanny and Roberta thought it was an odd request. And here's what Lanny has to say. Because of the throat cancer, he now speaks with a tracheostomy. Take a look.
Before Pam died, I didn't have any feelings for Roberta, except for her being a family member and a good friend. I miss my wife Pam, but I feel ready to be with her sister, Roberta. I don't struggle with this at all. My main motivation with Roberta is to have a partner again. I feel I have a lot to offer Roberta, and she could have a very nice life with me. I think Pam is definitely jumping up and down in heaven. I'm sure she's rooting for us.
Do you think that? Do you think she's rooting for you?
Absolutely.
You think she's up there saying, go for it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so look, let me give you a very serious answer to this because you're getting ready to make a life decision
That's right.
that could affect you for months. That was smart ass, wasn't it? Well, I mean, come on. So, but here's the thing. First off, you have to look at intentions, and you don't owe it to your sister. This is not the kind of trade that you make that somebody says, I want you to marry this person and take care of him if something happens to me. You are released from that obligation. Now, having said that, it's also not immoral for you to marry him. He is a widower. The fact that he was married to your sister is in the history. You can't live your life looking over your shoulder, right?
Right.
So what do you think about what I've said so far?
I'm listening, Dr. Phil.
That wasn't the question. I didn't say, are you listening? I said, what do you think about what I've said, that it's not a moral transgression for you to marry someone that used to be married to your sister? I mean, that does happen. So what do you think about what I'm saying? He said again.
Well, I don't know how I feel about what you're saying. I do feel better that you're telling me that it's not an immoral thing because that's what I was looking at.
What code does it violate? Where does it say you can only marry one sister per family. Where does it say that? I mean, is that biblical? Is it in our social mores and folkways? Where does it say that?
It doesn't.
Okay, so that's just something you put on yourself. I will tell you this. You have to evaluate your relationship with him totally independent of sister, morality, or whatever. If you wouldn't meet him, fall in love, and marry him with no history whatsoever, you should not do it now. Okay?
Okay.
You hear that? What do you think about what I'm saying now?
Well, I'm wondering if the history that we created as brother and sister-in-law can fit into this, because we were very, very good friends in their marriage.
Listen, successful relationships are based on solid underlying friendships. So that's a real plus for you, I think. It's not a negative, it's a real plus. But the last thing I want to say to you is you've been married, by your description, 3.5 times, okay? There's a common denominator here. What's the common denominator between number 1, number 2, number 3, and number half? Well, you were the common denominator.
Oh, yes.
You were in the first one, right?
For a minute.
And you were in the second one, right?
Yeah.
And the third one.
Yeah.
And the last one. So, I mean, you're the common denominator. You need to go back and do an autopsy on those relationships. You need to deconstruct those after the fact and figure out what it is you're doing that is contributing to the demise of these relationships.
That's why I've been single for a long time. I have figured that out.
Well, great, because anything, you know, it's kind of like you get in an airplane, take off and crash. And so you say, well, give me another airplane. You get up, take off, crash. So, well, give me another airplane, take off, crash. Say, well, give me another one, take off, crash. Pretty soon, don't you think, you know what, I'm going to step back and figure out how to fly this damn thing before I keep launching off.
Absolutely.
And that's what you need to do before you go take off again into the wild blue yonder of romance. You need to really learn how to fly. And then if you can do that, you've got a chance, because the statistics are against you. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. That would predict that this relationship won't last. So you've got to figure that out first. So, okay?
Okay.
All right. Coming up, a mom who says she deserves to spend $1,000 a day. But she says her hardworking husband just doesn't agree. Really? I'm so shocked that he's not down for that. Well, her question when we come back. Well, today is Ask Dr. Phil Day, and I bet a lot of you can relate to this next question. Amanda says she has a shopping addiction that is ruining not only her credit score, but her marriage. Take a look.
There's nothing that makes me feel as good as shopping. I want what I want when I want it. I love to buy clothes and shoes and handbags. Anything that makes me feel good about the way I look.
This is my absolutely favorite Michael Kors bag. I absolutely love it. For now, I love it. I just bought 3 new pairs of sneakers last week. My husband did, actually, not me. This is a Chanel bag. I don't remember buying it, purchasing it.
Steve and I got married almost 4 years ago, but we've been together 27 years. If I don't get my way with my husband, I pout, I cry, I'll get mad at him, and I won't talk to him until he gives in to me. Our finances are really bad at this time. My credit cards have been maxed out for years. I probably have $25,000 to $30,000 in credit card debt. We took out an $80,000 loan to remodel our home last year, and we don't have a dime left. I take my bill money and I go shopping. And then what I do is I take payday loans out to cover my bills. If it were my debt, I would feel the stress and the anxiety over it. But since it's Steve's debt, I don't feel the emotions behind it. Steve is very close to leaving and ending this marriage because of the shopping. Dr. Phil, how do I stop my spending and save my marriage? Or how do I save my marriage and still spend a little?
Okay, now, first off, you said you have no emotion about this, but you're not paying for it, right?
No, I'm not paying for it, no.
So somebody else is paying
My
for
husband.
it. You got somebody else out there working, nose to the grindstone, sometimes 20-hour days. That means 4 hours to sleep and all of that sort of stuff. And then you take that money and go spend it on things that you admit you don't need.
Right, yes, absolutely.
But you have no feeling about that at all.
I have no emotions when it comes to his being stressed out about it.
that tells me that you don't have the capacity to feel empathy, and that's an important element for me. Now, let's talk about what you buy, okay? I made a list. You have spent $2,150 just on phones just in the last year or so.
Yes.
Okay, because you keep changing phones.
Yes.
Why?
Because I had to get upgraded to the next phone, the bigger, better phone. My girlfriend had the next phone. I had to have it because she had it.
Oh, cool. I'm sorry I asked. I should have known that. Okay, you spent $106,400 on clothes, shoes, bags, $97,400 on trips, $51,000 on just general upkeep, $67,000 on dinner dates, $93,000 on cars, and you have spent $43,000 on lottery tickets?
I'm not going to say 43,000.
Well, I will say it. $43,680.
I was spending $100 a day on lottery tickets out of my husband's bank account.
$100 a day?
Yeah, scratch-offs and...
Okay, that's $700 a week.
Yeah.
In 4 years of marriage, and I'm astounded that this man apparently has a learning disability because it's taken him 4 years to figure out that you spent $550,000 after-tax dollars, $500,000 in 4 years on this stuff. What do you think about that when you hear it all put together?
It sounds kind of sick. Doesn't sound right. That's why I'm here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, why do you think you do it?
It makes me feel good. It makes me feel happy. It keeps me happy when I spend.
You said, shopping is euphoric. It's a high. It helps with stress, anxiety, and depression.
Yes.
You've just self-diagnosed. You said you have stress, anxiety, and depression.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And you're medicating yourself with Louis Vuitton bags.
Yes. Michael Kors, actually, but
Michael
yes.
Kors, well. You might wonder why Amanda's husband, Steve, is not here. Well, first, he's embarrassed that his wife's habit has put them in debt. Plus, he says, look, I can't afford to take a day off to come to the show. But he's joining us on the phone right now. Are you there?
Yes, Dr. Fell. I couldn't agree more with some of the things that you were saying. I've stuck it out, but it's getting to a point where I don't know how much longer I can stick it out.
Well, you shouldn't stick it out if she isn't willing to do what I'm getting ready to say to her right now. Our Twitter's blowing up over this right now. Cassie Warren ST says, he needs to run as fast as he can. You may be too late already. Shannon Loves TT says, this lady is living in La La Land unless that money tree really does exist. So, Steve, listen to what I'm going to say to your wife because you need to hear this.
Okay.
What you're doing here is medicating yourself with these things that you buy because you're not dealing with the fact that you are experiencing anxiety and stress and depression. And I think this has been going on with you for a long, long time, long before you ever met and married Steve.
Yes.
And if I get you some help to deal with that, will you take that?
Yes, absolutely.
Steve, give us 90 days to work on this and see what happens before you make up your mind.
All right, Dr. Pearl, I'll take that advice.
All right, when we come back, a former beauty queen says she's gained over 100 pounds, and she wants to know why she has a fear of looking attractive. Maybe she's doing the same thing. Maybe she's dealing with things with food the way you use shopping. We'll talk about that after the break. It's Ask Dr. Phil Day. Let's take a Twitter question. At Knock On Ginger wrote, Dr. Phil, what do I do about my friends that whine, complain about awful men in their lives, but they refuse to do anything about it? If you've got friends that are whining and crying about something, you got to be willing to step up and reflect it back to them. Say, let me tell you 10 things you've talked about the last 5 times we've been together. Write it down. Seriously, I'm serious about this. Write down the next times you're with these people, write down what is said and then say, okay, I just kind of want to go over with you. On the 3rd, here's what you said. On the 5th, here's what you said. On the 7th, here's what you said. Because sometimes we don't have insight. We can't see it within ourselves. And we've always said, a real friend will tell you if you got broccoli in your teeth, right? Well, whining and crying about something and never doing anything about it is like having broccoli in your teeth or spinach in your teeth. Your friend will tell you so you don't keep doing something that's not helping you. So really, be enough of a friend to step up and reflect it back to them. All right, our next question comes from Deborah. She was once a beauty queen who says staying thin was very important to her. But now she says she's scared to be thin. Take a look.
Growing up in my family, it was very important to be thin and attractive. My father hated fat people. When I was younger, my mom got me into modeling. I got into dance, theater, choir, cheerleading. I was Miss Burbank 1994. After the Miss Burbank pageant, I went on to the Miss California USA pageant. I won Miss Congeniality. From the age of 6, I have received unwanted sexual attention from men. I was 11 years old. A man jogging by asked me if I wanted to see his, and flashed me. When I was 12, my neighbor hit on me and asked me if I wanted to go drinking. Boys that I went to high school, junior high, elementary school, a lot of them would grope and grab me and slap my butt, grab at my breast. At 27, I went to a chiropractor. They were supposed to give me a robe. I'd never been there before, and they didn't. They gave me a towel. So within minutes of me even being there, he ripped the towel off and jumped on me and started groping me and grabbing me. It just felt like, really? And he was telling me don't complain as he's grabbing my breasts and my private areas. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I didn't want to be attractive. I didn't want to cause this sexual attention from men. And so to feel unattractive, I stopped wearing makeup. I started wearing sweats, baggy clothes. Within a year, I probably put on 100 pounds. At my thinnest, I weighed 128. And now I weigh 300 pounds. When I'm thin and attractive, I'm a target for creeps. And then when I'm heavy and unattractive, I'm a target for mean people. If I lose weight, I feel like the attention's gonna come back or I'm gonna get hurt. I do not want to be hurt. I'd rather be fat and safe. Dr. Phil, how can I get over my fear of looking attractive?
Well, you just set up a dichotomy there. You said, okay, I can either be thin and victimized by creeps, or I can be heavy and criticized with people being mean to me.
Yes.
Okay, if those were the only two choices, then you would have a really bad situation here, right?
Yes.
Is it possible those aren't the only two choices?
I'm sure there are. If someone asked me what the choices would be for them, I could give them choices, but I just feel like there's a disconnect, and I feel like that's all I have.
It was interesting when you were kind of talking about your history, one of the first things that you talked about and spent the most time talking about was actually how much your father valued you being, or anyone being fit and trim, and made jokes about and teased about and was really ugly about people that were overweight.
He hated fat people.
Okay, and you knew this how early?
Probably 6.
So as early as 6, he's telling you that being thin equals being okay.
Yes.
And being not thin equals being not okay.
Yes. You were an outcast, a pariah. Yeah, you were not, you had no value. In my opinion, that's what I felt.
Okay. So early on, it was defined by how much you weigh and how you look.
Yes.
Okay. But do you realize that that was a really wrong message to you?
Absolutely.
Do you think this has anything to do with why you went the beauty pageant route? Why you, he tells you you got to be beautiful, you got to be fit and trim. You get that message, and so you start going out there trying to get trophies for being fit and thin.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's just what we did in our town, too. Everyone all the girls would go after Miss Burbank and just do it. It was just something you did in our town.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
Do you know how many people live in Burbank?
100,000, 110,000 now.
Yeah. And how many contestants were there in any given
like 10
beauty
to 15
pageant?
girls.
Yeah, so there were another 109,985 that maybe didn't look at it exactly. Now, this isn't just what everybody did, it's what you did. In your pre-interview, you talked about 14 different times that whenever you were of a lesser weight, that you were accosted
Yes.
by men. And
Yes.
Does that seem like a lot to you?
It seems like quite a bit. And also
14 times.
And that's just what was
And
coming
they didn't
up.
know each other.
Oh, no, not at all.
All right, when we come back, Deborah reveals the one thing her friends say can never say to her. And later, is obesity something that you can catch like a cold? I mean, what's really behind all that? We'll talk when we come back.
I feel like a monster. I feel like I have no value. I want to change my life. I just have to get past the part of not feeling safe. I want to feel safe and strong.
Well, that was Deborah. She says being attractive is her greatest fear, and she really wants to know why. And if the one thing you don't want your friends saying to you is what most people love to hear. If they say to you, oh, you look like you're losing weight, that scares you to death, right?
Yeah, I get anxious. I can feel panicky, and then I put the weight back on.
You have an issue here in that you have been victimized a number of times in people crossing boundaries with you, being inappropriate with you, touching you, taking advantage of you because they found you appealing and attractive. Okay, and so being attractive, being at a healthier weight causes you anxiety.
Yes.
And so instead of dealing with that anxiety, you're medicating yourself with food.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
you've spent about $50,000 trying to lose weight when
didn't know it
you
was that
really
much.
don't want to lose weight.
I crash diet, and that's when I go on these crazy diets and spend all the money because I don't want to be this heavy and I don't want to feel this bad.
This is called an approach avoidance conflict. Okay? It's like, here's what you say you want, but as you approach it, you start to get anxious and avoid it.
It's exactly what
It's
I'm
approach avoidance. As you approach what you want, anxiety goes up, and so you peel off. You sabotage yourself.
Yes.
And let me tell you exactly what I think is going on here. I think your father told you real early on that your self-worth is tied up in how you look. And I'm sorry, but he couldn't have been more wrong. Your self-worth is not tied up in how you look. And when you looked attractive, some people took advantage of you. And you had a choice about how to deal with that. But it created anxiety, it created feelings of doing something wrong, being wrong, blaming yourself, blaming them, all these controversy that goes on within you. What if one choice was to get healthy, get to a place where you feel that you're attractive, and you had the self-worth and self-esteem that if somebody looked at you sideways as far as being inappropriate with you, approaching you in an uninvited way, that you had the ability to stand up and say, hey, back off, bucko, don't even think about it.
I would love that.
That's your body, you own it, nobody gets to touch you unless you invite them to do so. Okay? But that's a psychological issue with you. Giving yourself the right to claim that is the way to resolve this problem. You are not measured by how much you weigh. I don't want you to lose the weight so you have a better self-image. I want you to have a better self-image so you can lose the weight.
That makes sense.
And that is a completely different way to go about this. And I will help you as well. As I was going to help her with that, I will help you with this. I want to do a very specific plan with you, with a very specific type of professional help that will get you not only healthy outside, but inside with your self-worth. Can we do that?
Oh my God, yes.
How does that sound?
That sounds amazing.
All right,
Yeah.
deal?
Yes, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Phil.
All right. Now, obesity is a huge problem. The question is, could you be obese and not even know it? You say, well, no. I have a mirror, Dr. Phil, I have a mirror. Well, there's more to it than that. That answer next. We're going to talk about what all goes into that. And later, a woman with an addiction to biscuit flour. She has eaten almost 2 tons of biscuit flour. That's all she eats. All this coming up.
Dr. Phil, I've always carried extra pounds, but during my last checkup, the doctor actually referred obese. Really? I'm so frustrated. I need a surefire way to get this weight off me quick and drop this obesity label. What can I do?
Well, it's Ask Dr. Phil today. Now, that was Janine, and I'm sure many of you have wondered what the answer is to her question. So I've brought in some serious reinforcements. Joining me now to talk about this is Dr. Frida Lewis Hall. She's the Chief Medical Officer of Pfizer. So please welcome her to the show. Doctor, there's a lot more to obesity than just what people think, right?
Absolutely, there's a lot more to obesity. And of course, everybody wants a quick fix. But it's really important to recognize that not only is it a long and sometimes difficult road to get to a healthy weight and stay to a healthy weight, it's sometimes even difficult to realize or recognize that you're obese. I'll get personal for a second, which is, as a physician, the day I sat across from my physician, and she said, "Now, Frida, we really need a plan for managing your obesity." I said, "My what?" I was horrified. I was embarrassed. But it was a great wake-up moment for me to really get started on what is a long road.
Janine is here, actually. Oh, there you are. Hi. You were horrified when they said you were obese, right? Why was that a surprise to you?
Because I thought it would be more like fat lady at the circus, you know, someone that takes up 2 or 3 seats. I know I'm overweight, but I just didn't think I was classified as obese, you know.
Obesity covers a lot more people than we like to think about, right?
Absolutely. About 60 to 70% of the U.S. population could come into this category.
Yeah, you say there are some weight whispers.
That's
Things that
exactly
your body,
right.
that your body tells you. So let's talk about that a little bit.
So most people recognize wake-up calls. We've all had people tell us, I had a heart attack or I had a stroke. That was a wake-up call, and I really got on managing my weight. But there are also some, what I call wake-up whispers, and that is your body telling you that you may already be experiencing some of the consequences of carrying this extra weight of being obese.
All right, joint pain is one of them.
Joint pain is one of them. The other one that's important to notice is labored breathing or having your heart race when you take even a short walk. And for women, if they haven't had a lot of gynecologic problems but start to experience them, that's another key issue. And then some of the whispers come from outside, like you have to pay attention to your family history. If there's high blood pressure or high cholesterol that runs in your family, that can be a little bit of a whisper as well.
What are you showing us here today?
There's a lot of talk about the consequences of obesity.
Come here, Bones.
Is to show. Yeah, come on. So over here is a normal heart. You want to pick that up so we can see what's going on? About fist size. The difference is obvious. This diseased heart is a lot bigger. If you were actually holding both of these, you would realize that this one is a lot heavier. And if we look inside at the wall, you can see how thick the wall is on this diseased heart.
Look at that.
And why is that? Because this heart has been really working overtime, which is what it has to do when you're obese. Obesity unchecked really causes a lot of important health consequences. It's a contributing factor to many of the major causes of death. Diabetes and even some cancers are included in that, and can also cause some other health issues that need to be addressed. Osteoporosis, gallbladder disease, poor mobility, infertility, sleep apnea, the list goes on.
If you're letting yourself get into an obese situation, and Janine, that was your question, and you heard me talking about it in other stories today, if you're using food to make yourself happy, not good. To ease boredom or stress. I mean, you got to use food for nutritional purposes. And there are environmental triggers as well. You got to control what? Food accessibility. That's critical. Social eating. I mean, and sedentary lifestyle. You do have to break a sweat, right?
You do. Every now and then you have to break a sweat. We shouldn't forget some of the medical things that can lead to obesity. Science shows us that genetics does have an impact, and that's very important. Genetics may have an influence on how much fat you store, where you store it, and may also have an effect on how efficient your body is on changing food into energy. And then there are medical conditions, things like hypothyroidism or low thyroid, that may add the pounds to you or make them hard to get off. So we should make sure that as you put a plan together, that you consider the medical, the environmental, the lifestyle, the psychological, and all of those, so that you have a plan that really fits you. The most exciting thing for me about what we're learning about being overweight or obese is that it isn't an all or nothing game. 5 to 10% of your body weight, in some cases 15 pounds, has been demonstrated to bring your cholesterol down and your blood pressure down. Yeah. Find some small and realistic changes that can be made today that give you a head start on your lifelong quest to get to and stay at a healthy weight.
Yeah. For more information on obesity, you can go to gethealthystayhealthy.com. Gethealthystayhealthy.com. Going to have a lot of information and tips on there. Things we talked about today, plus a whole lot more. All right, coming up, in the past 6 years, she's eaten enough flour to make thousands of biscuits. She doesn't eat the biscuits, only the flour, and she wants to know why. Good question. Dr. Freda, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Now, Nichelle says in the past 6 years, she may have eaten over 3,600 pounds of flour. Take a look.
Hi, Dr. Phil. This is Nichelle. I am addicted to eating Southern Biscuit flour, and I can't live without it. Where did Mommy keep her flour? Since January, I have already eaten 186 pounds of flour. If I buy a 2-pound bag, it would be gone tomorrow. This has been going on for over 10 years. I eat flour all day.
It's 4:30 a.m. This is what I do. I wake up in the middle of the morning and I come in the kitchen and I eat me some flour.
Sometimes I chew the flour up and I'll spit it out because I don't want to gain weight. This addiction is driving my husband crazy. We argue about it all the time. Dr. Phil, I try to quit, but I always fail. Can you help me to stop eating flour so I can save myself and my marriage?
So let me ask the audience something. How many of you here know somebody that eats something really weird on a regular basis? Raise your hand. Wow, I'm surprised. That's like 25 people out of this group. And that's generally referred to as pica, which is eating things that are non-nutritional. And this is kind of that. It is a food substance, so technically it wouldn't be, but it's way out of pattern. And, you know, here's the problem, Nichelle. This can have some serious health consequences for you, putting that much in your body. Dr. Freda Lewis Hall is here. We were just talking about obesity in general. You shouldn't be eating that much flour, right?
Well, not that much flour, not much of that of anything else either. And especially in the case of pica, because you're eating non-nutritional foods. And you can have health consequences. Your bowel can become obstructed. She talked about malnutrition. There are other consequences that can come from pica. And also, pica may be caused by medical conditions. Sometimes we look for low iron or low zinc. People who have anemia may suffer from this.
You know, so Nichelle, look, here's the thing. The best thing for you to do is see your doctor because you go through what's called a differential diagnostic process. The first thing you have to do is rule out whether or not there's something medically, biochemically, that's causing this craving. And if so, you might be able to take a medication or a supplement for that that would take care of that and take away the craving. but then you've now developed a really strong habit. And here is the biggest misnomer that I think people have. You don't break habits. What you do is replace one behavior with a new behavior. All right, we're going to go. I want to say a special thanks to Dr. Frida Lewis Hall, and thanks to all of my guests today. For more information about the answers to today's questions, log on to drphil.com. Thanks for being here. So long. This is a tale of two sisters torn apart by one man. Now, Angel was dating Brian first until Amber seduced him all the way to the altar.
Her face makes me sick. It made me sick then. It makes me sick now. Brian and I were in love. I was hoping that we would spend the rest of our lives together. My sister and I were close. I spent a lot of time with her and would confide in her. Your family is supposed to be the one thing you can depend on in your time of need. You're supposed to be able to trust that they will be there for you no matter what. And while I was trusting her to be there for me, she was helping herself to my future. No one knew what they were doing until she got pregnant. Oh my gosh, it turns my stomach just even thinking about it now. No. That turned me into a monster. It pushed me over the edge. It made me a really, really ugly, evil person. I laid in bed at night and I plotted people's deaths. I was this black hole of misery that just wanted to suck people in and make them just as miserable as I was. It has been 7 years, and she still hasn't apologized to me. Why would I want someone in my life that has no heart and has no soul and can hurt someone they love without even blinking an eye, without remorse?
While Amber admits she was wrong, she says Angel's wounds are old and she just needs to move on.
Brian and I were sleeping together for about a year before I got pregnant. I didn't want to tell Angel about the relationship between Brian and I. I didn't think of it as long term, but then I got pregnant. When Angel found out, she was very angry. She would threaten me. She would leave me hateful voicemails. If I see you, we're gonna fight.
She's yelling and screaming at me, talking about how much it's my fault. It was my fault, okay?
The last time I had a friendly conversation with Angel was before I got pregnant about 7 years ago.
Recently, I called her. I gave her an opportunity to apologize. One that she didn't take advantage of whatsoever, and proved to me once and for all how not sorry she was.
I've made several attempts to apologize to Angel through text message. I even sent her a care package with homemade brownies. I put mint chips. I know that's her favorite.
Okay, you are hugely upset about this.
Absolutely.
Because if I get this straight, your sister started sleeping with your boyfriend with whom you had already had 2 children.
Yes, sir. We'd been together for 7 years prior to the affair. And
okay, so you and Brian were together for 7 years?
Yes, sir.
And you had 2 children?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then you come in the back door and start sleeping with her significant other and father of her children.
I wouldn't say I came through the back door. I would say he was the one knocking on my door.
Well, hell, you answered it.
Yes, I did.
Front door, back door, down the chimney, it's still not your man. This is your sister's man, and you started sleeping with him.
Yes.
For a year.
Yes.
And you never felt bad about it.
I did feel bad. Yes,
Well, you
I
said
did.
it was not that big a deal. You said we didn't think it was that big a deal. You didn't expect it to go anywhere.
I didn't expect it to go anywhere, no. didn't plan on, having a relationship with him or anything like that at the time.
What did you call having sex with him for a year? That was not a relationship. What was that?
I mean, not like, I never thought we were going to be married and having our own family and stuff like that.
Well, of course not, because she was already with him.
Well, I was supposed to do that. How could you think about that?
I wasn't thinking about it.
You weren't thinking about me or
wasn't.
anybody else when you did that. I
No,
think
I
you were
wasn't.
thinking about yourself.
I was being very selfish at the time.
You what?
I was very selfish at the time, yeah. I was
At the
20 years
time?
old.
Yeah, okay, now, and here's the thing. You confided in her
Absolutely.
things about Brian.
Oh, not
Just
only-
sister to sister.
She was my confidant at the time. I was recovering from back surgery and depended on her to help me watch my children, and I depended on her as my sister to help me with my children. I was recovering from back surgery, and I'm telling her how I feel like I can't do things sexually with him because of my back. And, I'm like really concerned about a lot of things. And she takes that information and goes through whatever door you chose to go through to go ahead and take advantage of that situation.
So she uses you as a confidant, then you use that information.
I did not use that information to do anything. There was no manipulation on my part. I didn't have to manipulate him. I didn't take advantage of him when he was drunk.
Doesn't matter.
There was none of that.
As a sister, my dear,
My fault
trusted
was
you.
not saying no, not turning him down. That's where I went wrong.
Then how did it happen for a year? I mean, I can't understand how you could think that it's like I asked you, why didn't you tell me the first time when it happened? You're like, oh, I didn't want to ruin my relationship. So let's sleep with him for a year and let's make that better. I mean, seriously, how can you even think that you should know me? The respect would have came to you if you would have just told me the truth. But you weren't even the one who told me. In fact, you have never admitted to me that you've done anything wrong.
That's not true,
once.
Angel.
Really?
That
Because
is not
even
true.
your fake apology did not even have admission of guilt. It didn't have repentance, and I'm sorry.
not
Those
true.
are the
Did you
two
even read the
requirements
text
of
messages?
forgiveness, my dear.
Did you even read the text messages?
I did. I
did admit my guilt. I said I was truly sorry.
Oh,
I did a horrible
you
thing.
You said, I'm deeply sorry for any pain that I have caused you. You are my sister, and I'd like to fix this. That's what you said after 7 years.
I've apologized
Excuse
to you
me,
several times.
No, you have not.
Every time we get on the phone, Angel, this is how it happens.
No,
Just
no,
on
no,
Monday, that's
no.
exactly what happened.
That's not
and
true.
Then you had,
That
you
is not
even
true.
asked me saying,
In fact, on
why
Monday,
can't we just talk to each other?
Had your
This is why.
Excuse me. On Monday, when I called you, you had your opportunity to apologize then. In fact, did you even shed a tear when I called you? Excuse me. In fact, I believe that
When is an apology supposed to come through when you're just doing this all the time?
No,
You can't, I
you're
can't
not
get in.
listening is the problem.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You're just not listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Y'all don't really need me for this, do you?
I'm trying to
I mean, do I have to
speak-
be here for this?
No, I honestly, why do I have to be here for this when honestly there's nothing that's going to change her mind about anything? She's not listening to anything I say. It's just really quick.
Where'd that come from?
It came from my bra. It's actually from the Bible. It's Proverbs 2:16, and I just like to
You have
just
the
express
Bible
it real
in your
quick.
bra?
I do.
And later,
You brought me onto this show because you want to cry about how I won't forgive you.
That's
You
not
don't even know
true.
forgiveness
That's not
is.
why we're here.
You don't
why
know
are
what
we here?
forgiveness is. Due to the pain that my sister has caused me, I have a hard time saying her name. I call her BF, which doesn't stand for best friend. It stands for bitch face. Basically, I've been using the letters BF to stand for her all this time because I choke. I choke on the words as they come out. So BF is...
I have just a couple of questions. You said that she's upset and that this is tearing the family apart and all of that. What do you expect her to feel?
I expected her to feel like this, but to drag it on
But
this
hell,
long...
what do you...
I'm sorry, an apology
When
would
does it end? How many times do I have guys, when is it when can we make a truce? When can we stop all the hatred and the anger? It has trickled down so far. I mean, the kids are being affected. I mean,
really?
not only
What
your
did
children,
you
but my
expect
children
to do
too.
when you had children with the father of my children?
They don't have a problem with that.
You
Angel.
made and married him. You made the children, my children, their father, their own uncle. Now you tell me how that's not supposed to affect the children.
That's not is them, Angel.
I don't
That's
care.
There's
Amber,
no confusion.
I don't care.
I know you don't.
Bottom line, no. Bottom line is you don't care. Okay?
If
Now
I
let
didn't
me
care, I
tell you
wouldn't be
something.
here.
Can I just express something real quick? Dr. Phil, can I please just express something really quick?
My second question. You said you didn't expect this to go anywhere. You were having unprotected sex.
I was
Right
on birth
here.
control the whole time, except for the very end when I did get pregnant. I missed my appointment. I didn't realize I missed it until after I was really sick and went to the doctors.
You were having unprotected sex. And your response is, oh, I was on birth control right up until, well,
when I got pregnant.
The end when I wasn't and got
Get
pregnant.
I didn't get pregnant on purpose.
Oh,
We weren't
really?
trying to have. We weren't trying to have a baby. I was on birth control the whole time.
I bet you were.
You weren't on birth control the whole time. You got pregnant off of birth control, correct?
I missed my appointment. Yes, I did.
So stop saying you were on birth control
wasn't
the
an
whole time
on-purpose
except for the
thing.
time when you got pregnant.
Okay, it was an accident. I accidentally got pregnant.
You don't accidentally birth control. How old were you?
20.
You were 20 years old. That's an adult. You are an adult. You knew you weren't on birth control and you had sex with her 7-year boyfriend, baby daddy, and you had unprotected sex. Now, come on. What you want to do is get past this. To get past this, you've got to get real.
Thank you.
Okay. I never purposely we weren't planning to have a baby. We weren't planning all of this stuff. It just happened.
When are you going to admit
yes,
that
it continued
you
for
screwed
a
up?
year.
When are
yes,
you going to admit that you're wrong?
I have. Did you not hear me?
When?
I just said...
What?
Angel,
No, I'm sorry, when?
Angel, I did screw up. I made a huge mistake.
Wow,
I
that's
apologize.
the first time that I've heard that from your mouth.
Maybe because it's the first time you're not talking while I'm saying it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because I called you and I said, hey, do you really want to do this? Pause. Here's your opportunity to speak. And you didn't take it.
You weren't listening to anything I said. That entire conversation
I'm
was
sorry.
completely irrational.
Can I ask a third question?
Yes.
How are you self-righteous and sanctimonious in this thing? I don't...
I've been trying to apologize to her. I can't talk to her.
You say, you don't listen. You're not this. You're not that. I don't know.
She doesn't. When we're
kinda...
talking, she just screams and screams and screams and screams. She doesn't let you come in. She doesn't hear your apology. And as soon as I do apologize, it's, oh, you're fake.
Okay,
You're
you
fake.
said, why do I say you're being sanctimonious and self-righteous? That's why I say.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Thank
sorry.
you. If I can please say something.
If you will make it quick, and then we're going to break.
That's
and then,
fine.
then I'm going to
That's
come
fine.
back and tell you what I think you need to do, and then we're done.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. My whole thing is just that, you know, I've given her opportunities, and that when you have the will and desire to do something, you should take it. And if you have the guilt and the feeling of remorse in your heart, I don't care what you have to do to express it, it shows. And I do have something that I'd like to read, if possible. It's just really quick.
Where'd that come from?
It came from my bra. It's actually from the Bible. It's Proverbs 2:16, and I just like to
You had
just
the
express
Bible
it real
in your
quick.
bra?
I do. Actually, I have it on my phone too. Okay. Can you listen? Because wisdom will save you from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman with seductive words who has left the partner of her youth and ignored the covenant she made with God. Surely her house leads to death and her paths to the spirit of the dead. None who go to her return or attain the paths of life. Which basically, you know, with wisdom...
During the break, she will interpret that to her sister, apparently. What their mother has to say about all of this when we come back. Really?
Brian liked to call me a bitch no matter what I did. And then after they did what they did, I made being a bitch a lifestyle. And it was like, you want to see me be a bitch? Well, Dr. Frankenstein, how do you like the monster you created? Because I know how to be a bitch, believe me. My sister had the pleasure of marrying the love of my life.
My sister Angel will create situations where she and Brian are alone. Like when they do the child exchange, she demands that I'm not there. She'll say things to my family like, oh, he's flirting with me.
I don't think she loves him, not like I did. And I don't think he loves her, not like he loved me. He's really the only man I've ever loved.
Well, you're probably wondering where Brian is. The man caught in the middle of this love triangle. Well, he was going to be here until about 2 a.m. this morning, and he called in and said, oh, darn, I can't make it. Can't get there. I could be on the phone if you wanted me to call in or whatever. I said, no, I'll pass. So he does admit that falling in love with his girlfriend, Angel's sister, was not ideal, that it was Angel who encouraged Amber to move in with him.
Angel and I were together for about 4 years. We had a great time together in the beginning of our relationship. She just changed into a completely different person.
Brian and Angel never agreed on anything. They always argued. They didn't share the same view on a lot of things. Their dysfunction was pretty much the only thing they had in common. Their relationship was extremely toxic.
Angel blamed me for her back problems. Angel wanted to have another back surgery and wanted to move back with her mother. I was completely against moving back with her mother. Angel and I decided it would be better for me to get my own apartment. I was taking as her walking out on our relationship. Angel sent her sister, Amber, to stay with me as a way to keep an eye on me.
Angel feels that I seduced Brian and that I had gotten pregnant on purpose to try to trap him. Brian seduced me. Brian and I married a year ago. We have 2 children together, and we are expecting our 3rd child. Brian and I are soulmates. We have a very close relationship.
I admit that I was wrong. I try to apologize. I try to make amends with Angel. Is there anything that I can do about it? No. Can it be changed? No.
Can I say something, please?
Do I have a choice?
I didn't encourage it.
It doesn't matter whether you did or
She helped
didn't.
him get the apartment. Her name was on the lease.
If you drove him over there and rolled him in on a dolly, it doesn't justify your sister crawling in bed with him.
You're right. And you know what? I love how they keep trying to turn this around like it's my fault.
I never said it was your fault, Angel.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know where you're getting that from. You brought me onto this show because you want to cry about how I won't forgive you.
That's
you
not
don't even
true.
know what forgiveness
That's
is.
not why we're here.
You don't
Why
know
are
what
we here?
forgiveness is.
We're here because of the way it's affecting the children.
Okay, let's talk to your mother.
Please.
Hi. Angela and Amber's mom, Sandra, is joining us on Polycom. You're in Hawaii, right?
Yes, on a honeymoon.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
ma'am.
congratulations. Sorry,
Thank you.
sorry to intrude. Love the flower and the lei. So tell me, what do you think about this division between the sisters?
Well, you're right in the middle of it, just the same way as I am, only I'm mom.
Right?
I can see expression on your face already. The emotions, the passions. Now try to be mom.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So what happens on holidays when you all get around the Thanksgiving table? I mean, does the turkey fly or what?
2 holidays.
No.
No.
No, I won't go.
To keep it from being thrown at each other,
That's not.
we have 2 holidays.
So you have to split it up.
Usually.
Yes, 2 Christmases, 2 Thanksgiving.
Or half and
you
half.
know, half and half. Well, half and half. That's what I mean by 2.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
half and half.
So,
Yeah,
Mom,
it's half.
so Mom, what do you want to see happen here?
Well, what happened to Angel is not right. And not just us being Christian women, and all of us having a past, the only way to go forward and then what God expects us to do is to love one another unconditionally, to forgive and move forward. And you can't move forward if you're carrying a trunk of junk. Everybody deserves a second chance. But there has to be remorse.
Thank you.
I love my girls. I love them dearly.
Well, do you
And
think
they
Amber
both-
is remorseful?
Oh, I know she is. One thing about Amber is that she backs off from any aggression, and she puts up a false pretense. And it's hard to see that, but I've seen her cry. I can see Angel's not accepting that. I've seen her cry.
Why isn't
I
she
know
crying
how
now if she's so remorseful?
Because she can really hold it in.
If this is the time to show it, though, she's supposed to show she's sorry. This is supposed to make amends. And there she is with a straight face, just like when I talked to her on Monday.
Okay, hold on. Listen,
I'm
I feel
sorry,
really
I'm
bad
sorry,
about
I'm just gonna be
intruding on.
quiet.
I feel really bad about intruding on your honeymoon because these girls are doing what they're doing. But at this point, your concern is that this is tearing the family up. There are children involved. In fact, your children do have to spend time with their father/uncle or stepfather, whatever.
Stepmom/Thea.
So they do get kind of, and you want to see that resolved for those children, correct?
I do, because I'm starting to see now that they're getting older, the anger and the way that they treat each other is really affecting the children, and I can see it. And, I know it's hard to move forward for Angel and for anybody. I mean, I have a sister, and I can't even imagine what I would be feeling. I'd be feeling probably a lot like Angel has, but, I've had a lot of things happen to me myself, and I can tell you, you've got to let it go. You've got to forgive. You've got to believe that God's love, that He has a better purpose for us.
Mom, why can't you recognize how far I've come? I'm the one that's worked all this. I have done all the work. I have forgiven her. In fact, I told her I loved her on Monday. Did you return it?
Yeah, right before you said that you were willing for me to lose my baby so you could fight me.
Oh my
and then
gosh,
you could
no,
forgive me.
No, that's not true. What I said.
I had you on speakerphone.
Yes, what I said.
I'll give you my thoughts after the break.
So I'm just gonna be quiet while Dr. Phil go ahead and makes his statement.
Okay.
I miss my sister very much. I do want a truce. I can understand if she doesn't want me.
She's heartless. And it hurts because that's my baby sister. And I told her, I love you. So I love you. You're my sister. I love you. Do you think she took the opportunity to return it? She didn't tell me she loved me back. As a matter of fact, all she could do was argue with me.
I'm here with Angel and Amber. We interrupted Mom's honeymoon, and I don't want to do that anymore. But let me just tell you what I think about. Do you want to know what I think about this?
I do. I'm listening. I am just hurt again by my family not recognizing my work as a Christian mom to forgive her and love her despite what she's done. You just totally took that away from me in your statement. So I'm just going to be quiet while Dr. Phil go ahead and makes his statement.
Okay. All I can do is tell y'all what I think, and then you're going to do whatever you want with it. Now, it's been 7 years,
Yes, sir.
and you have a higher calling here and a duty to the children involved in this situation.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And sometimes people that really have a lot of angst for one another have to co-parent.
Absolutely.
And in this situation, you're having to co-parent with the father of your children and your sister to whom he is now married.
Yes, sir.
Now, you have shared things with us that relationship was perhaps anything but perfect.
Absolutely.
And I frankly think that it sounds like you may have really dodged a bullet here.
Honestly, I believe that God used this to cut him out of my life like the cancer he was. I do believe
maybe,
that.
and I'm not saying that means he's an evil guy, but
I'm
the
not saying
two
that
of
either.
you, the two of you
We're not meant to be.
had a volatile relationship, and there was a lot going on there that didn't need to go on.
Yes, sir.
But be that as it may, that's over and you're out.
You're right.
But you made the choice to bring 2 children into this world with that man.
I did.
And when you brought those children into this world, you became a parent.
Absolutely.
The problem is parent is both a noun and a verb.
Yes, sir.
You aren't just a parent, you must parent. And that means there are things you have to do as a fiduciary for those children. And bad-mouthing their daddy, I'm not saying you do, just hear me out.
I'm listening.
I'm not saying you do. Bad-mouthing their daddy, putting them in the middle of a tug-of-war here where there's angst between you and you, and they feel that, they perceive that.
Yes, sir.
They pick up the tab for that.
Absolutely.
And if you're saying that you have forgiven her, doesn't mean that what she did was okay. Forgiveness is about you, not about her.
And it's not reconciliation either.
Then you don't have to reconcile.
Exactly.
You just have to co-parent.
Exactly.
And that means that you do whatever you have to do to keep those children from being in the crossfire of a battle between you and your sister.
Thank you.
Take the high road. There's a lot less traffic up there.
I've been trying to do that, but she's totally trying to bring me down to her road.
But it isn't up to her. Listen, you just need to choose to do what you need to do. If she chooses to not do it, you can't handle that. But you need to do what you need to do. You're obviously emotionally charged about this, and I'm saying that at some point, it's been 7 years, it isn't going to change.
No,
Let it
you're
go.
right. The thing is,
Let it go.
Can I ask you a question, Dr. Phil?
Very briefly.
Why would I want to spend time with somebody who has no remorse for what they've done? All I do is just try to keep my space. I've done exactly what you've done, but I'm not getting credit for it.
If she earns your trust and respect by creating a new history, then reconsider it. But if at this point you feel that she hasn't, then leave it alone.
You said earn, Dr. Phil.
Move
That's
on.
such a huge word, earn.
My next guest looks pretty good in her selfies, but her self-esteem is in the toilet because she always thinks her best friend looks better. We'll talk to both of them when we come back. So, doesn't that mean that your life going forward is really bleak? Because you're gonna look worse. On the outside, my next guest, Jen, looks confident and beautiful. But deep beneath the layers of makeup and hairspray, she is in a constant struggle, comparing herself to every other woman in the room, especially her own best friend, Megan.
Megan is so beautiful that being around her is hard on me. I'm jealous. I feel like she's just way prettier. She just has such confidence about herself that I envy.
When we as women look in the mirror and we see something wrong with ourselves, what's the first thing we do? What can I do to fix that?
Just me, raw, bare, no hair done, no makeup. I don't think I'm pretty. I feel like I'm losing a battle. I'm afraid of people not loving me, or that someday there's gonna be that cuter girl that is going to be more attractive than me.
She's her worst. I look at it as more of a competition, and I just go to my extremes and I'll see what I can do.
I want the real me to look better. I don't want to fix myself.
Okay, are you just the way you look?
You mean without all this makeup and hair? I don't look the same?
Yeah. Why is it so important to the two of you how you look?
Because it makes me feel a certain way.
Yeah.
It gives us confidence.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm not as worthy or respectable enough if I don't carry myself well.
And you think your appearance, your look equals self. Be honest. I mean, that's what you say. You come in the room and that's how you measure your worth and value.
Yes, I feel like I'm worth more. I feel like I'm better. I feel like I carry myself better.
Yeah.
I've been on the other side, and I don't feel as good as myself. It's like not many people care to get to know you.
So doesn't that mean that your life going forward is really bleak? Because you're going to look worse. Going forward, take it from me. I look like an old catcher's mitt, okay? As you get older, things are going to get closer to the sidewalk, and you're going to, wrinkles are going to become more pronounced, and you're going to become less competitive. Visually, there's always going to be somebody cuter, younger, fresher. There already is. Trust me.
I know. And that's why I try to do what I can, because I just like you said, I feel like there's always someone out there better, prettier, and I feel like it just gives me more boost to try to continue to work harder.
Yeah, but you lost 70 pounds, right?
I did.
All right, good job on that.
Thank you.
For a couple of reasons. And I say that for a couple of reasons. One, because you feel better about yourself, number one. But number two, that's a return to health.
Yes.
Right? I guarantee
absolutely.
you your lab work went from out here to center and up.
And I was off the couch a lot more,
heart-wise, and you became more active and all of that.
Yeah.
And you were involved with somebody that dumped you for...
Someone younger.
In his mind, somebody that was younger, cuter, fresher.
Right.
And that person can be dumped for somebody younger, cuter, and just like a guy can be dumped for somebody that is more studly. And look, you can never win that foot race. Which one of you said you take the perfect selfie?
That's me.
Yeah, that'd be Jen.
You don't let other people take a picture.
No.
You'll take it, right?
Yes.
How do you take the perfect selfie?
Well, you kind of have to angle it like this. Like, it has to be up, and then you have to have like the right background. Yeah. And you have to have like the right face expression.
Oh, you're in the right town for all this.
Yeah.
Your self-image is damaged because you're not focusing on the right things.
I think it's more of a control thing too. Like I feel like the better I do, the more that I am, the more control I have with myself.
If your body image and self-image are tied together, you're making a serious, serious mistake. And I say that based on work with people that have been injured and become paraplegic and quadriplegics. They have taught me that although it should not be, that self-image and body image oftentimes travel connected together. That if your body image deteriorates, your self-image tends to go with it.
Yeah.
And particularly with men, actually. Men that can no longer stand up and feel strong and masculine, that first shock for them is terrible. It's a terrible shock because their body image has been damaged, and so their self-image just goes in the tank. And they're not less of a man, they just feel that way in the beginning. And if your self-image and your self-worth is tied to your perception of your body, you're in for a rough ride going forward. You've got to expand it beyond that. What's your best quality? Are you smart?
Yeah.
Are you caring?
Very.
Is she a good friend?
The best.
Is she loving and caring and supportive?
Absolutely. She's the most genuine person I've ever known.
Those are the things you've got to focus on. Those are the things you should value about yourself. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with taking pride in your appearance, but if that's how you're defining your self-worth, if that's how you're defining your self-image, then those things don't age. I mean, your true qualities of being caring and giving and contributing something and being loyal and supportive to your friends, those are the things those things don't age. The outer wrapper does age, and you can fight this battle, and you can run, and you're just going to die tired because it's going to catch up with you. I mean, you are going to age. You can do things to help and take care of yourself, and it's interesting, you each say the other is prettier.
Yeah.
So that means your self-image is damaged because you're not focusing on the right things, true?
True. It's something I've been battling with since high school. I mean, and I think it's more of a control thing too. Like, I feel like the better I do, the more that I am, the more control I have with myself.
Yeah, but you've got to focus on different things. We'll be right back. Beauty is a very individual thing. I mean, you can be at where you think you're absolute best, and somebody might look right past you and look at somebody that you think, well, you know, she ain't much, but somebody else might think so. It's all in the eye of the beholder, as they say. What you got to do is really find what it is you think is so unique and special about who you are. And, I mean, I was joking about being in the right town. I mean, look at the people that are successful in Hollywood. They're not always the best-looking people, right? They're different. They're different. They're unique people that become movie stars. Find something about you that's unique. Find something about your personality that pops. Find something about you, and those things don't age. True?
Right.
I mean, that's all I'm saying. You're focusing on the wrong stuff. All right, we're out of time. I want to thank my guests for being here today. For more information on today's show, you can visit drphil.com. We'll see you next time.